reshape podcast. We are back after a long-awaited hiatus, for lack of better terms. We do have a very, very special guest who has been near and dear to my heart for the last, 4 years now?
Yes, 4 years.
We have the fierce, independent, intelligent Rakia Ruffin. I've been knowing her for a while. She's been acclaimed in various organizations as being a leader in after-school programming and has been pretty much traveling since your debut of your post-college career. So honestly, I just want to take it back to this point. You're not from Indianapolis, but you did attend Addicts High School.
Yeah.
Did you see yourself in this position, or what was your occupation going after your occupational journey or idea after graduating high school?
So I had the plans of pursuing fine arts after graduating high school.
Okay.
I did not see myself even pursuing psychology. So I learned in my junior, and it's actually funny because I was just writing my discussion post about this last night, but I always saw myself pursuing fashion and fine art. So like I was saying, my junior and senior year of high school, I found out that I had a hidden talent of drawing and painting. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to go to an art school, an arts college, and pursue that idea and that talent that I had. And so, I wasn't even one that knew or even had a plan of college being my next step because, a lot of my peers at the time had hobbies that they could monetize themselves off of, whether it was doing hair, having some type of cosmetology background or something that they were like skilled at that can give them like money quick and easy. That wasn't my reality at the time. So, it took me some time to even figure out what I wanted to do. And my mom was definitely the push of you're going to have to figure out something, like you can't stay at home. You're going to have to go to college or get a job. So yeah, it wasn't until my undergrad when I wanted to pursue fine arts, and then I changed a few times, and my mom was like, fine arts isn't going to get you money. Like, you need to do something that's going to pay the bills. And then I went down a rabbit hole of changing my major, having interest in different things, and I ended up, settling down with psychology as an undergrad major.
That's phenomenal. And to speak to that point, when you were discovering yourself, were you still creating art in that process?
That's a good question. I wasn't pursuing art in the same way that I was pursuing it in high school. So during that time, undergrad, I always speak on it to my friends and family. Like, my undergrad experience it took me a long time to adjust. So I wasn't even working on my craft of art at that time because I was, we're all trying to acclimate to the freshman year experience.
Absolutely.
And my experience compared to my friends was so different. I stepped on campus and had a culture shock.
Yeah.
So I definitely wasn't pursuing art in the same way that I did in high school.
Absolutely. So we graduated in 2021, or you graduated in 2021. You're volunteering, you're still trying to discover your career path. How did you end up at the Martin Luther King Community Center?
Oh, because my parents bought their house right across the street. So as of next year, like February next year, they have, owned the house for 10 years. So that was the house that I, ended my high school years in, and I, completed my undergrad in. So I always was familiar with the center, and it was walking distance right across the street. So it wasn't until the pandemic where I wanted to, because I was at home. I had came home from college, and I wanted to be involved because they pushed everybody out and was in quarantine, and the center unfortunately wasn't taking new volunteers. So I always kept them in mind, and I was waiting until we, the social climate and the world was back in a decent order for me to jump back into volunteering. So that wasn't until literally the last week of school where I was graduating. It was my birthday, and my first volunteer day was my birthday. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fast forward maybe 2 months later, you were offered a full-time position.
Part-time.
Part-time.
Yeah, I was working downstairs with the little kids.
Oh my goodness. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like transition from college, part-time job. What was that? Was it like a culture shock similar to when you first started on campus to step into the professional world? Like how was that transition too?
From college to the professional world. So when I was working, or when I was out of school and was home for due to COVID, I was working at a corn mill.
Oh wow.
And I was a contractor, so I was doing temp work, and I was making really good money at the time, like 18 or $15 an hour. At that time was like amazing.
Good money,
Yeah.
$15 an hour.
Yeah.
All right,
So I was doing that for a few years, and then I ended up, I was doing very nasty work, working. I looked like a firefighter. All my friends thought I was a firefighter because of all the PPE that I had to wear. Then I ended up advocating for myself because it's a male-dominated industry, the corn mills and stuff. So I ended up going to the general managers, and I was like, I need to do something different because I want and I desire to be challenged. So I was able to work in the admin office, and it just got to a time where my contract was ending, and I had an easy transition to the MLK Center because I was going to be making the same amount of money. And it was more accessible because it's right across the street, so I don't have to worry about transportation because I wasn't driving at the time. But from that point on, from, working as an admin, and then coming over to youth work, it was a pretty smooth transition because I knew that youth work is a field that I was interested in. And I wasn't, applying that psychology work at the time because you're really just working with kids and creating relationships and basically being like a mentor to, little kids. So it wasn't a hard transition for me, but it wasn't until I got promoted up into the tech center where I had to incorporate and develop new skills.
For sure.
And that's when I met you.
And that's where we met, and teased me right across the street in 2021. As you've progressed, you have been added to IYI and all these other organizations, but you talk about a mentor piece and transition from a male-dominated job into, well, we can fairly say a female-dominated job, but you work in a sector where it's mostly men. Do you feel like that advocating and that character development that you had allows you to be a better leader for these young ladies that you run into frequently?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like in my experience, we all have a first time in something, and all of us have to go through something in order to make change. Dr. MLK had to go through hell and high water to make change. Like somebody has to sacrifice something and sit in their discomfort in order for change to happen. So in my in my experience here, I had to, go through things, and it's not like I went through a lot of BS, but you do go through challenges that do shape and alter your personality and your professional development. So in my experience and in my perspective, I just translate everything that I go through, and I'm transparent with the females, the young ladies that I work with and who look up to me, and letting them know that you have a voice at the end of the day, and to use your voice, because it's hard and it's easy to, you have an inner voice, and sometimes that inner voice isn't strong enough to speak out. So, you listen, a lot of the things that's the pressures for the younger generation, even though we're all in the same generation, but the younger, individuals, is social media. And sometimes that clouds their perspective on how you should show up in the world. So I always try to use my platform and my, my knowledge and experience to basically shine light that, like, you don't have to be a certain way in this field. Show up as who you are. Speak loud, be bold, but be respectful. Because the younger you are that you are able to practice and incorporate that level of autonomy and advocacy for yourself, it will be easier for you as you become a young adult in the world.
But I do want to, we're going to land this plane in a little bit, but that strength that I initially introduced you as is what I see you as. But more importantly, you're now applying that. You're a master's student. Not only you're a spokesperson for a union. So can we talk about how you advocate for yourself, not only with the burdens of these young ladies, but now you're taking on the burden of organizations and people who don't have that inner voice. How do you not only see that inner voice, but now try to make it cohesive and then explain that to an organization or explain that to the young people?
I ask it again.
So now you're advocating that advocacy is something that's like almost in your DNA. To me, it's in your DNA. But now you went from advocating for yourself, advocating to the young people, and now you're advocating for 50, 60 plus people against higher management.
Right.
And now as a opposition, but like, hey, these are what we're seeing and this is how we want to be represented. So how did you make that? Those are jumps. So how do you now explain that and use that advocacy to create change within the professional world?
So I think it just goes hand in hand with, like you mentioned, I am a, grad student pursuing industrial and organizational psychology. So this is right up my alley, and you always label me as the revolutionist or the rebel. And I take I don't mind being, sure. I don't mind being the one in, environments where because people talk. We have inner relationships and, connectedness with each other. And my thing is, I don't mind saying what's on the hearts and minds of my peers and my colleagues and my coworkers, because if it's beneficial to the well-being and how we show up, especially if you're passionate about something, it needs to be articulated to leadership. So this is all for me and how, in order for me to learn and take my program, my master's program seriously and be able to equip everything that I'm learning, I have to be a part of the union and represent the staff because it's practice. So in my eyes, it's I'm going to take on this challenge because it's going to help me be able to do consulting work and go into larger organizations and companies that are having, if not the same or more complex situations going on, because we have the luxury of having a small or working with or under a small organization right now. So this is just practice. And this translates to the youth that we work with, and I would apply it to everyone because they have the privilege of seeing young Black people like you and I in school. We're very, very young. We don't have a lot, we have a lot going on, but we don't have a lot of barriers still. We have the freedom to get out and travel and speak and be a part of things and, advocate for ourselves. So we're paving the way. You know what I'm saying? We're not like the people who are running these organizations and the companies, and that's no fault to them, but we have the opportunity to see the gaps, and I'm big on systemic gaps and being able to point them out and say, hey, this is what we need to do better at. And when we are able to point out the gaps, the teams are able to work under us as an umbrella and receive those same gifts and talents. So I think that everything that we do and how we show up and the conversations that we have, somebody is picking it up. We're a face of leadership, but we're also influencing the teams regardless of whether it's directly or indirectly. So I think it all just boils down into everything is going to be impactful, but it's also just a testament of where I see myself going within my master's program and definitely becoming a doctor. So
PhD on the way.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of game. Hope y'all picking it up.
Yes.
For real. And it's interesting that you carry this mantle. It's now your light shines in so many different areas, professionally, educationally. But now you have the Cozy Collective.
Oh, yeah.
And what you keep on carving out these spaces for people to be authentic and advocate for themselves. So now can you speak on the creation of Cozy Collective and what's your big why on continuing to push it?
Yeah, so I developed Cozy Collective. It started off as a book club, and I realized that I want a space that's more than just a book club. So I just recently, like a few weeks ago, said I'm just going to make it a media club, multimedia club, where we just maybe view different types of art in their forms and expressionism. But now I'm in a mindset of I just want it to be a third space where we cover everything. Because
Hold on. Tell people what third spaces are, because not most people are not aware of what those are.
Yeah, so third spaces are the environments that we include ourselves in outside of your work and home life. So it's another space where you can put yourself in that provides a sense of comfort and a sense of stability, individuality, things of that nature. So some people's third space might be a church. Some people's third space might be, I don't know, a park. So it's just another form. But in my mind, I wanted this third space to be like a no cost barrier, because I know that the world is changing and there's a lot of political changes going on and tensions. Yeah. So the why of this initiative that I started in this project of Cozy Collective Indie was to bring people together through community and conversations, because I'm really keen on building relationships with people, and being able to have a group of people that look like me, don't look like me, have diverse backgrounds, different ages, different everything, and being able to form genuine connections and relationships with people, because we all have a story. We all have something that we go home to, and that's something I tell, the teens a lot. Like, we don't realize what people go home to.
1,000%.
So I wanted something that felt like home for people, hence cozy, something that felt like I don't have to show up a certain way. I don't have to get dressed up. If I just want to come in PJs, that's what I want to do. So that is like the why of Cozy Collective Indie. But yeah, it's still changing, and I have a lot of great ideas with it, and it's popping off. It's going great.
Well.
So
doing very well.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's kind of like a full circle moment, like going from the professional world, educational world, but losing that artistic side, but then coming full circle.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just like a beautiful metamorphosis that I got to see over the years, and now that you're pursuing with fierce intentions. So Rakia Ruffin, PhD, is at the end of the road, mom, successful businesswoman. What is one thing you wish that people remember you by when it's all said and done?
Authenticity, always, and transparent. I want people to be able to know my story and to be able to know the ugly sides of me. I pride myself when the reels that I create on Instagram, nothing has to be pretty. I don't want it to be pretty. I value, and I like to be able to connect with people who are true to their story. Because I'm very empathetic. So I was driving down Meridian and the marathon runners were running, and I'm like about to start crying because I'm like, this is so inspirational and I want to run a marathon, and I'm seeing a sign. It's like I was literally about to start crying. Yeah. So I think for me, it's just authenticity. I want people to know about my trauma, about my abandonment issues with my dad, and about, the tension that I have. And I don't want people to just say, oh, Rakia was remembered as somebody who was blah, 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 blah. Like, yes, I want that to be remembered, but I also want people to be like, I loved how she did not hold back anything. Because what's the purpose of me holding back something when we want the teens and we want our family and our friends to be true to themselves and to tell their stories? There's no purpose of holding back anything when, we was talking about the life cycle the other day, birth and death. Yeah. I feel like the more we are true to ourselves and we're open and honest, it creates more intentional conversations and resources to open up. And I think that's how, true love and genuine love is formed throughout our world and our community. So that's how I want to be remembered, as somebody who was authentic, somebody who was approachable.
Now, approachable.
I'm very approachable. I just have a resting face. I'm very nice.
Yes, you are. But I think that's the revolutionary I see in you. You're not scared to not only ruffle feathers, but you're doing it from a place of love. So it's never, what Murdoch say? Love is a revolutionary act. Shout out to Murdoch. But that's amazing. So do you have any closing remarks, anything you want to say to the people, whether that be your social media pages or upcoming projects, or how they can tap into Rakia Ruffin?
Yes. So I would love to just say, continue to heal yourself. Continue to pour back into your bucket. It's a lot of things changing in our world, but take care of yourself first. Love yourself first. Put yourself first. And you can follow me. My personal account on Instagram is Queen Kia, QueenQuiya. And then our Cozy Collective Indie page is Cozy Collective Indie on Instagram. We have a few upcoming projects that we are partnering with 33rd Dynasty. This December, we are hosting a cozy drive for the community. So we'll be giving out blankets, gloves, hats, scarves, you name it, to those in need to provide warmth for the community. And then tonight is our Cozy Collective session where we'll be trading resources that we think are beneficial. So we'll be having some self-care kits, some books, some recipes. Some people are bringing food to just share and create community within our space. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Page's podcast. My first superwoman got to sit on this couch, and I'm so thankful that it was her, honestly.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was
Jalen
amazing.
is doing awesome work, you guys.
No.
Yes, he is.
I'm just following. I have a good ecosystem, and I try to follow people who I'm inspired by. So thank you guys. Until next time.